Hello,
Rocket.
YouTube land. So this is Nuchas. If you want to participate in the chat, you can. I will be monitoring the chat, but we will be covering the Studio Ghibli film Only Yesterday, and we're going to be recording it live. So I'll start the intro. That'll go into the MP3 feed in just a moment. Everybody set up? Why am I hearing like extra noise? Hang on.
I am hearing a hiss. Yeah. You guys got a fan on?
No, I actually took out my double feed because if I'm recording you guys on my end, I have to actually feed you into my mixer. So I actually didn't do that this time.
Well, it went away. Whatever it was. All right. No, now it's back. That's weird.
I hear nothing.
Well, hopefully it won't show up in the recording. All right. Hello, Mixed Nutcases. This is Nick Joss, and today we've got an episode of Intro to Ghibli for you. This is the episodes where we, Tech and myself, are being led through the world of Studio Ghibli by the veterans, Jen and Jason. So, without further ado.
Oh, 30-second summary.
No. That's when you say hi.
Oh, we got to do the intros first.
Yes.
Hi, I'm a misplaced intro. I mean, I'm still Tech.
And
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jason.
And so we're going to be covering Only Yesterday. And I do want a little bit of disclosure that I thought I had downloaded this from a very, very special co-host. And it turns out I downloaded the wrong file. And so we started watching My Neighbor the Yamadas. And I was like, wow, this is such a different art style. So we're already spoiled on that. But then we realized we were watching the wrong movie. And so we went and we got Only Yesterday. And
when you see the Studio Ghibli movies in the theaters recently, they always do those little animated shorts.
Yeah.
At the beginning. So with that cutesy poo art style there from My Neighbor the Yamadas, I'm like, oh, is this like an intro? Is this the featurette at the beginning of the main movie? Then the title card comes up, My Neighbor the Yamadas. No, we're watching the wrong movie.
Yes. So we're slightly spoiled.
So really quick little factoid about My Neighbors the Yamadas. Because we've done Spirited Away, right?
Yep.
Yes.
My Neighbors the Yamadas with that art style and Spirited Away costs the same. They had the same budget.
Wow.
I can see that, actually. I can see that. So instead, we watched Only Yesterday, and because we didn't have enough prep time, we got the sub version. But I believe you guys were listening to. You were watching the dub?
English, yes.
Yes, Dave Patel and
Daisy Ridley
and
Ashley Eccleston. Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And there's a couple voices I picked out because I'm weird like that. I picked out Stephanie Shea, who I've actually interviewed on my podcast, along with Tara Strong, who did the voice
in everything.
Yeah, everything ever. Like she's the new Wendy Lee, I swear. Like,
did you interview Tara Strong?
No, I did not. I didn't get a chance
okay.
Because literally when you say Tara Strong is going to be here, you don't get just anime fans. You also get the bronies too, and the My Little Pony fans. Like, they all came. Like, it was so bad that year at AFO, they had to rent out a separate suite just for extra signings.
I believe it. So let's start with the Tech 30-second summary.
I kind of want to go clickbait with this one. It's like, Only Yesterday, watch the Isao Takahata movie that makes you cry, but not for the reasons you think. It's a movie about a delusional schizophrenic woman who struggles with a trip to visit her family while suffering psychotically vivid hallucinations of her. No, that's not it at all. Watch as a young woman reminisces different parts of her life as you watch a coming of age story happen twice. As you come of age while you're coming of age. But yo, dog, did you like coming of age stories? Because I put one in your coming of age story.
It's coming of age Inception.
Yes.
It's how can I figure out my adulthood by tapping into my inner child, like seriously tapping into that inner child, specifically grade 5.
Yeah, that's a very specific
I was
age.
gonna say,
It's
like,
very, very specific.
a lot of my, life changes or whatever. I don't think back on 5th grade.
Yeah.
Definitely the
What did I
freshman in
do?
high school, maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's where I would have felt, right? Like
The only cool thing I did in 5th grade was make this huge volcano that erupted everywhere.
I was having science slumber parties at school.
Yeah, both of y'all's 5th grade is better than mine, so we're all good. Yeah, no, 5th grade, but I was also like even more of a slow developed socially child than young. How do we pronounce her name? Takao?
Takeo?
Takao? Yeah.
It is Takeo.
Takao. There we go. Yeah, so we I was even more, I mean, I was still playing Barbie dolls at that age, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in 5th grade I was still on the verge of saying girls had cooties. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
so
we
the
do.
one thing I noticed, the interesting choice in the scene where she everybody tells her she has a crush on this boy, and she finally gets a chance to meet him, and they can't talk to each other. And on the walk home, when she meets him, she's meeting a boy that she likes, and there's this awkward moment where they keep blushing and they can't really talk to each other because they're so nervous and they're so afraid. This is like a first sort of a social meeting. But the backpack that she's wearing, that red leather backpack with the rollover top, I forget what that look is called, but that's a schoolgirl's backpack for a very, very young schoolgirl. We're talking like kindergartners and early grade schoolers would wear that type of backpack, and there's a whole outfit that goes with it. So the fact that they're showing you she's still a kid, she's trying to do grown-up stuff, and she's stuck in this tween thing, and it's weird and awkward and hilarious and not very hilarious.
I had that backpack in 3rd grade, and it was purple with Good and Plenty on it, and I loved it. And I wore it out.
This movie, and I think we've said this on several occasions when it comes to Ghibli films, but they must creepily watch their children. Like they just
it captures the feeling of being that age when she finishes talking to the boy, and
he has to respond, and he goes,
no, but like when that conversation's over and she starts walking home and she starts walking into the sky and she's flying and she's just like absolutely giddy. I'm like, yeah, that's what that feels like.
I literally looked at Jen and goes, she's literally on cloud 9 right now.
When she's driving in the car, when he's driving her home, and they're in like the dismal gray rainstorm, but they're having fun in the conversation. So the outside world turns into like bright sunny fields with like happy animals and happy wheat and everything, and then it cuts back and it's like dingy gray Tokyo.
Yep, exactly. I love that.
And this was the screenplay for this was written and directed by Isao Takahata, and I think one of the things that is not really picked out about him, and is something that Miyazaki doesn't have, is that Miyazaki gets children and that whimsical world that children live in really, really well, but Takahata gets family really, really well.
Oh, the bickering with the sisters.
Like it is
perfect.
He's got to be creepily watching his children. Like he's just taking notes.
Yeah, either that or he was one of those bullied kids in 5th grade that like wrote everything in a diary. But like the classroom politics of this boy likes that girl, but that girl doesn't like him, and the schoolyard politics is so accurate to what I remember 5th grade being horribly like.
Well, and I had even said to Tech, I said, it's that moment. Oh, this person likes you, and you're stuck in that moment of, oh, do I want that person to like me? Does that mean I like that person? Well, if they like me, I must like them, right? Isn't that how it works? And you're so young, you're at this age that you don't even know what liking somebody means.
Dude, and I love how that's paralleled throughout this whole thing. She, again, where they seamlessly go between her in present day to her back as a fifth grader, and she's having basically the adult version of what happened then.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. Now, during the pineapple scene, was I the only one going, someone's going to cut a finger off? Like, this is a Takahata film, right? They're going to slice themselves apart.
The whole movie, he kept going, oh, somebody's got to die. Oh, grandma, she's got to be like 80. She's going to die.
and the scene at the very end where the bus is going up the hill and the car is coming, I was like, they're gonna crash and like everybody's gonna die.
Or when she's on the
Takahata film, right?
When she's on the bridge in the rain and you're like, oh, she's gonna get smacked by the car.
They're driving in the car in the rain, and there's like the headlights are making the dew glisten, right? And Tech just leans over. He goes, "Fireflies, it's coming." And I said, "You're not allowed to taunt me about that unless you watch that with me." And then he goes, "Nope," and he shut up.
So one of the things, Takahata took 17 members of the drawing staff on a trip out into the country where they went to a safflower farmer's farm, and they videotaped their entire journey and videotaped the entire process as they all learned how to pick and culture safflowers to make the rouge. One of the artists, actually, she was taken. The farmer's name, by the way, Nutty, is Inoue.
Really?
Inoue is the name of one of the senseis of our martial art. But this farmer took one of the artists under his wing and really went in depth with her in teaching her all of the production steps. And she would spend hours drawing safflowers. So much so that for the next year, everything she drew resembled safflowers. Apparently, according to the note, she couldn't even draw like anything mechanical like a car because it would turn into flowers.
That's amazing. I will say that the art was so fantastic. It was definitely one of my high points. And there was one scene when she's in the imagination, and she and the guy, they're in a cart of hay, and I'm just like, look at that hay. And I turned to Tech and I'm like, could you imagine watching this high? Because I'm blown away. So totally sober.
Miyazaki's known for killing animators. Takahata in this movie murdered a bunch of animators because
matte painters.
Well, I'll get there. Thanks for ruining my punch.
Go ahead. Say it as if I didn't ruin it. Go ahead.
But Takahata not only killed animators, he killed matte painters. Thank you. Thanks, Nutty.
Sorry.
Anyway, about the anime, this movie was absolutely groundbreaking for an anime at the time because of the level of detail of animation in the faces. It's not just Speed Racer with a moving background as they show shock and surprise. They animated the cheeks and the cheekbones and the smiles and the teeth, and the scene where they're playing baseball. And the full wind-up and all the batters having, he's got a one-footed stance as they're all trying different ways to hit the ball and they all get struck out. And that level of animation had never been seen before. It was one of the big reasons why this movie was such a runaway hit. But the matte painters, I mean, any one of those backgrounds, the one done as watercolors, which was an interesting choice, but especially in the nostalgia scenes, the further back into her memory she went, the more watercolor it turned into. But you could take any one of those backgrounds and hang them on your wall.
Oh, absolutely. And what about what did you call it? Like the multi-layered parallax?
Oh, the scene where she's driving through the safflower fields and she's looking to the side and she sees her family. I counted at least 7 different layers of parallax scrolling to give you the illusion of depth as she went through the field, because they animated each row of flowers moving in a different direction at a different pace to give you an illusion of depth in a 2D scene.
Well, dude, I mean, look at how the movie opens with the skyscraper. Like, the skyscraper scene where they're literally, the movie opens and she has the opening narration and it's juxtaposed over going up this giant skyscraper that's reflecting the sky back at you. And I'm like, well, there goes a crew of dead animators. All right, Takahata, you're catching up to Miyazaki numbers here.
So I don't have much about the voice cast because we watched the sub.
Yeah.
I do know that the lead voice in this was also the lead voice in Lupin.
Oh, we haven't seen that one yet.
No, but
The Castle of Cagliostro was the one Miyazaki Lupin movie, considered to be one of the best Lupin movies, by the way.
But the American cast is just absolutely
So tell us, how did they sound?
Honestly, the movie is really carried by Dave Patel and
Daisy Ridley.
I mean, they're wonderful. And again, like, because I focus on voice actors and stuff, like hearing Stephanie Sheh and Tara Strong in this, I'm like, I know them. Why are like? And it's one of the things, like it weirds me out that they're not the leads. Both of them are side characters, and then there's other people that aren't named, but they do side voices, like side characters and additional voices. And it was really good. I don't think out of all the Ghibli films that I've seen that have been dubbed and redone since the inception of G-Kids and Disney picking up the rights to distribute the stuff, I don't think there's a bad one among them. Like, I would love for there to be one because it would show that Disney and Ghibli can make a mistake, but I haven't found one. What?
Just go. Jeez, now you make me edit. I was waving to Shane.
Hi, Shane.
Hi, Shane.
You don't have to edit that out. We speak to Shane every episode.
Yeah, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
You waved. You're on camera.
I knew why she was waving.
See?
Thanks, Shane.
But no, like, I really have not come across an English dub that they've done that isn't good. And the worst part is,
What was the one that was absolutely disastrous that they had to redo?
because they didn't redo Mononoke because they actually took the dub they made when it was under the Miramax label and reused it.
No, there was one.
No, yeah.
The one with the big giant bugs and Patrick Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Nausicaa.
Nausicaa.
Wasn't that the one that had there was one that had an awful dub in the 90s. They changed the entire story around.
Oh, was that Howl's Moving Castle?
Yes.
Yes.
It was Howl's Moving Castle.
Because that was what made Miyazaki never want to have an English dub.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Disney was like, no, we promise you'll have full creative control.
Yeah. They're like, hey, look, fam, we're Disney. We'll show you how it's done, bro.
You're Japanese Disney, we're Disney's Disney. Let's work together.
I found I don't know any of the Japanese voice cast, but I have to say they did a very, very good job. I thought all the voices were great.
None of the kids were like annoying. A lot of times when people are trying to do kid voices or they get kid actors, I find that the voices can grate on my nerves, but these were all just pure.
Yeah, it was really good.
I do want to give huge credit to the guy that was playing the farmer, because his laugh was so good. Every time he would laugh or chuckle, it was just so endearing and charming, and it just drew you in.
In the English dub, anytime they're in the car and he giggles, was he doing the goofy yeah? Because he should have been.
No.
Oh,
No.
That would have been a brave acting choice right there.
That was Dave Patel, and honestly, like, it's kind of sad though, because the whole time I'm like, yep, that's Dave Patel. Like,
I don't really know Dev Patel too much, but I don't think that would have taken me out. I'm just curious if, like, well, first off, who did Ahsoka play? Like, I think that might have taken me out.
She was the young girl.
Oh, she played the young version. I could see that. All right. That's cool.
But yeah, and it's, again, like, I go back, like, to Takahata's skill in this, like, and I hate to say it, like, but the whole time I'm like, somebody's got a croak in this movie. Like, because again, like he's made this film so relatable on so many different levels. Like I looked
By
at
the way, someone did croak. We just didn't see it because notice grandma's living with the sister
yeah, that is true.
and the parents aren't around.
Yeah, that is true. Grandpa's not around either, so
Grandpa was dead in the beginning.
Well, I assume
Grandpa was never
Grandpa
around.
died in the war.
which was yeah, man.
He was
I
one of
also-
the kids in Grandpa Farm. No.
So the thing is, this I was a little confused on timelines because she's in grade 5 in 66.
So she's 17. They said she was 27 at the beginning.
Yeah.
Of the news, so that's 17 years later. So that would have been 70 or 83.
Okay, 83. Yeah, I guess it tracks.
And she talks about how her sisters felt the 70s were like the best time, and she's like, I was just growing up during the 70s. I didn't.
Which is why, when in 83, when Homeboy goes to pick her up at the train station and he's wearing a short sleeve pink hoodie with a red and orange ball cap.
It's a bold choice. It's a bold choice. He is the total hipster.
And high-waisted gray jeans.
He is the total hipster.
By the way-
he was wearing that before it was cool. He was an organic farmer before it was cool.
Did you guys see everybody in here wearing grandma pants? Like the denim was up to their belly buttons.
Well, it was the 80s, so that does track.
It was
The
fantastic.
70s would have also tracked.
Dude, I'm telling you, like Miyazaki can't get this kind of time travel right. Like Takahata's like, hey, I'm gonna show you guys the 80s. Like,
Had this been a Miyazaki film, everybody would have had tuberculosis.
Also, Miyazaki tends to do like a kind of a timeless feel.
yes, like you don't get the only movie I know of by Miyazaki where it's a specific time frame is The Wind Rises. Whereas everything else of his is fanciful and kind of it's not concrete as to when it is.
Yeah.
Or it's in a completely different place, looking at Laputa Castle in the Sky, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, and Howl's Moving Castle. Like those are like you can tell Howl's Moving Castle is probably Europe somewhere. That's about it.
You look at things like you look at Totoro or Kiki, and
Yeah.
they could be almost anywhere, anytime.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with Spirited Away. That could be any small town. you know.
Absolutely. So I was blown away by the art. I was blown away by I don't know. I was pulled into this story, even though it's not like a very defined plot. It's more of like inner analysis of feelings and developments. And she explains it at the beginning when she says like she was going through a transformation when she was a kid and that she's going through another transformation. But I was engaged throughout the entire thing, and there were a lot of pieces of her that were completely relatable for me.
Dude, it's a character study. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. And like I was sitting here watching it and I'm like, I loved her family dynamic. Like when they have these scenes at the dinner table and it's just this awkwardly quiet scene and she's trying to talk and the two older sisters don't want to lower themselves to speak to her. So as you notice, they're animated with their noses high in the air, chins raised as they eat stubbornly. And the mom always has to remind her that she should eat what she's given. And it's just, oh man, like I'm just like, I saw this
video, this YouTube video by this couple. She's from Houston, he's from Japan, and they talked about the differences in cultures. And one of the things that he was explaining is that when he was growing up, the reason why you see a lot of like on a lot of restaurants and no substitutions is it's considered very rude. It's a grave rudeness to say that you don't like something. And when they were going to school, you had to eat everything, whether you liked it or not.
They were an island nation surrounded by enemies that was firebombed and nuked into submission. The thing with the pineapple, why the pineapple thing was such a big deal is even in 1966, they didn't have fresh fruit in Japan. So finding an entire pineapple was prohibitively expensive and very, very rare.
Yeah,
Not liking something on your plate People starved to death. Takahata is gonna horrify all of us in a little while when we watch Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, all of us?
No.
All
Well, he horrified me enough, and all I read was a plot summary. Okay, people died of hunger, not even counting the war that ended in 1945, just of hunger and poverty, and it had repercussions all the way through until the big massive bubble, the bank bubble in the 70s and 80s, when Japan finally started to work their way
when they
out of this.
became an electronics giant.
Right. But it took
Mhm.
30 years for
Yeah.
that to happen. So you can imagine an entire culture for 30 years of not having a lot of food and people starving to death. You're not going to pick the onions out of your dinner. You're going to eat them because I didn't have onions and Grandpa died.
And Grandpa died, yes, because he didn't have onions. The scurvy got him.
That was a savage bomb to drop at the beginning. Like, so casual. Grandpa's dead. You know that.
Well, I mean, you never see Grandpa, so
Yeah, I mean, you could have assumed, but Takahata's like, no, fam. The angel of death is looming over this movie.
So the other thing is, I do want to point out that, well, and in addition to all of that, is when her mom says, "I'd rather you were a better eater than a good eater than a good essay writer."
Yeah, bruh. Her mom was throwing shade.
Her mom was savage.
So at one point,
Yes.
the mom said she was not a normal girl,
Mhm.
but they were talking about her,
that heartbreaking scene in the stairs.
right?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
like, her mom was savage.
But
Like,
the only thing that I
brutal.
saw that was any different, besides the fact that she didn't like pickled onions, that's
or
fine.
pickles, or
Pickled radishes and onions.
Yeah, she says,
Oh.
you know she's not normal, just as she hits the bottom of the stairs, and then you watch they animated the shiver going
Mhm.
up Mom's spine as she realizes that she's right behind her.
Mm-hmm.
bruh. And then like the other scene, like,
That scene hit a little too close to home, just gonna say.
But like, there was no difference to her besides that she didn't like certain foods and she wasn't very good at math.
Yeah, she wasn't like the others in the sense that she wasn't always well behaved. She was obstinate. She was
Those older sisters were not well behaved.
and they were super spoiled. Like, well, he only buys us one big thing, or he gets you little things all the time. I'm like, yeah, death by 1,000 cuts, huh?
Mm.
Like, it's like, and then another scene that, again, I'm telling you, man, I'm not trying to say Takahata hit his kids or something, but this scene,
the slap.
bruh, that it was all too real, man. Like, she's like, because one, the dad up until this point has been very stoic, but he's been caring. He calls her Little Bear, and he's got these moments where he actually has these genuine, like, very dad moments, but they're very tender. Like, when she won't eat the onions, and she's like, Dad will eat my onions, and he's like, mm-hmm. And like, and there's other moments with those two that he barely speaks in, but they're really good. And then she realizes when he decides that he's not going to baby her and he's going to just let her stay home, and she's like, I'm going to go, and runs outside. And they even show you, like, Takahata gives you a quick shot that she doesn't put her shoes on, and she goes outside, and he's like, without shoes, whack. And I'm like, oh.
But the thing is that you could see her face as she realized that they were leaving her behind and that she still wanted to go. She just wanted somebody to ask her. She wanted to be convinced.
She felt abandoned.
And then you see that she is in pre-meltdown. She's like 9 out of 10. She's ready to go. She's just ready to have a breakdown because she's not a baby and she's not a grown-up, but she just wants a little attention. And then Dad smacks her for taking 2 steps outside without shoes on.
And she's on
And
the
then
carpet.
you have a meltdown for an entire other reason.
And
she's on the carpet. Like, she's not like she's on the sidewalk. She's on, like, the little placemat. Like,
and the thing is, he smacks her so hard that her face swole
and it wouldn't
and
go
it
down.
stung all night. I mean, that was not just a reaction. That was a open
Visceral
hand
thing.
smack. And you know what? That is the turning point, because it went from Daddy was
She was definitely daddy's
encouraging
girl.
her And now, after that, we start to see Daddy saying no to her over and over again.
Maybe now we know what he does for a living. I mean, who else could smack a woman that hard? He must have been a
Well, he does wear a dark silk robe
everywhere he goes. And he must be a pimp. That must be his day job.
And if you notice, the older girls are only asking him for like clothes and purses. Like they're not asking him for money.
Can I get 5,000 yen? Oh, sorry, that was in that was the farm.
that was a farm girl.
For what? For
Pumas.
Pumas. And then they even. By the way, I love it. Like this product placement is so amazing. it is the best. Like it is literally just an entire frame of a glowing Puma symbol.
It's
the best.
It's all too real. It's all too good. And if you just showed the kid scenes, we'd probably go and then showed all the adult scenes later. We'd say, well, what was the point of that? That was just a bunch of random stuff. We needed that interspersed with her 10-day vacation out in the country.
He seamlessly goes between the 5th grade years and her modern day, and he
in the beginning I was a little confused. It took me a second to realize it was the same person.
Yeah, and he purposely, I think, and I think as it goes along, as she's getting more and more kind of clear and separated from these things that she's kind of holding on to, the transitions become more apparent. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, she's a mad woman. Like she's literally just
when they're crossing each other on the train.
Yeah, like she's having these lucid dreams of her past, and like there's no telling what's reality and what's not. Like
I really thought that's where the story was going. I thought we were watching somebody having some sort of like psychological break. I thought we were watching. This reminded me of like Brazil or Sucker Punch.
Yeah,
or,
Requiem for a Dream, maybe.
Huh?
Or Requiem for a Dream, maybe.
I don't know that one.
Oh no, wait, not Crash with
yeah, we didn't see that one either.
Andre 3000. So yeah.
Anyway, but
what didn't we like?
Well, at first we were getting mad at the ending until we realized the ending was during the credits.
Yeah, yet again, a Miyazaki movie that just stops and doesn't end, and they explain everything. They give you the heartwarming finale that you want as an epilogue.
Yeah, I liked the ending because for one reason only, it's silent.
I love the real ending. We love the real ending. It's just the credits start rolling, and Tak and I are like, "That's it." She gets on the train and leaves. That's the end. And then we see the full end and we're like, oh yeah, that's good.
Have you guys ever seen an anime called Rujin Z?
No.
Or Rojin Z?
No.
Okay, Rojin Z is about a little old man who is in like hospice care basically, and he's plugged up to this super bed that's keeping him alive basically. And he somehow, I can't remember how this happened, but I think the super bed gets possessed by his dead wife, and it decides to go on one last like adventure with him because they wanted to do this one last thing together. So basically, this little old man is now piloting a possessed mech, and there are moments in it that are like that train scene where he's having these like mental breaks and reality is just not there anymore, because that's all that train scene was. Like
that train scene was beautiful. It was her accepting the innocence and the purity of her younger self back into her life and letting her not make the same mistakes and to just follow her heart.
Was she following her heart though, or was she pressured by old women?
No, she was following her heart. She was not pressured by old women.
Now your biological clock is ticking, and you need to get married.
See, and to a point, I almost think that she felt like she was being told what to do. Because, like, during her whole childhood, she was like, they were, don't do this, don't do this. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?
Why are you doing this? And why do you do things
and then
that
you got
way?
these little women going, hey, you should do this. and it just where she had been reliving all those younger years as it is, I think it got to her.
Maybe. Tech, what did you say when you heard Grandma on the phone with her? Grandma on the phone at the beginning,
or when her sister was telling her about her mom,
or yeah, whatever it was. It was Tech's like, wait, Grandma's Jewish. Because it was he's a good man for you. Oh, this is good. You need to do this. You need to do that.
But there's that scene where they're on the farm in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's her sister and the
grandma and the sister's husband.
And grandma, and they're talking about her like she's not even there. Yeah. And this whole thing about she needs to settle down. She should marry this guy she met 9 days ago. And
she's too old for him.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. She's older than him. It's like, Grandma, like this throwing shade thing to people in the room is like through this family. This is like genetic. This is hereditary.
They're savages. Like they're savages, man. Like, God, like again, but the worst.
By the way, I can totally relate.
Yeah.
So there's some crossovers I want to see. So things we'll stay on lows before I get to the crossover. Other things I didn't like about this movie. A little slow for me. Not a lot of soundtrack.
What's the total running time?
Almost 2 hours.
Yep, it's like hour 59 minutes and like some 48 seconds or something.
Yep. Okay, so 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours and
a couple seconds shy of 2 hours.
I understand that we're looking at it from the perspective of a woman's memory is 17 years after the fact, but the dad, like this must be a trope in Japan that I don't get, because the dad reminded me way too much of Shinji's dad from Neon Genesis Evangelion. He never says anything. He's just there with his hands tented in front of his face and says like one word an episode, unless he smacks the crap out of his daughter for not wearing socks. For not wearing shoes.
By the way, Shinji's dad is one of the worst dads in anime or anything ever. Ever.
I feel like that was a really big trope for dads, probably at that time also. And I don't know, like honestly, when I was growing up, there was this one family that I would hang out with, and that's basically how the dad was.
Son, the angels from heaven are revolting and are sending giant robots to destroy all of humanity because we're all sinners. So what I'm going to do is throw you inside this big giant robot. And if I'm right, you'll win. If not, oh well.
Off
you go,
like
boy.
That. No, just kidding.
If I'm wrong, you'll get crucified on the moon.
Now, what's really funny is I think that's what happens in Neon Genesis Evangelion. But if anybody can decipher that Rosetta Stone that is an incomprehensible anime, you go ahead and tell me what it's about, because I don't know. I just know it's got big giant robots.
See, what had happened was, after that ending, the guy came back and he did another ending to explain the non-ending. I bought that too. Ugh.
So I liked the music that was in this.
It got a little intense at points though. Like the scene where she was
I think that's when I liked it.
Like I think it was where she was pulling the flowers for them to do the dye. And it's like this. I'm like, oh my God, like this is. It's like a Jason Bourne movie.
When she was pulling the flower wrong, though, it was this calmer music, and then after she figured out, after she was taught how to do it, and she was doing it much more quickly and much more correctly, it was when the music got much more intense.
I just really hate that song that they used in the end credits.
Oh yeah,
I have always hated that song.
Yeah, so we know the English version.
Yeah, the love is like a river, blah 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 blah.
I like it in Japanese much better.
Not nearly as annoying in Japanese, but I hate that song. I think the only reason is because I had to sing it in 4th grade choir and such, have developed like sort of a bad sense memory.
I think everybody sang that song at least once.
Yeah.
Should we replace it with Country Road?
That was. I never knew that was written by a Japanese little Japanese girl.
By the way, so I have one thing that I was slightly upset about. You can't mention the Beatles and not show the Beatles, okay?
They showed the Japanese Beatles.
I don't need Japanese Beatles. I need Takahata's rendition of the Beatles.
She also said her favorite band wouldn't show up for another 5 years. And I'm like, what's your favorite band?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Didn't she give a name? I could have swore she gave a name.
No, so the Takara something that they mention is a it's a musical theater outside of Tokyo where they do Western style musicals with an all-woman Japanese cast. And it's this huge thing. It's owned by one of the rail companies. It's been going on since at least like the 1920s or the 1930s. It's massive.
And it's funny. The dad's reaction to that, which is one of the more visceral reactions, outside of slapping his child, is when they were talking about she could become a star and all that. And he's like, "We're not gonna have an actor. We're not gonna have him." He's like, No, you will have a traditional Japanese woman life. You will not be independent. You will not go to that darn-falutin acting school. Like, I feel like that's the moment, like in an American movie, he would have been jumping up and down at the table, screaming and yelling about how she's going to have a traditional life and a traditional marriage.
This is where you splice in the footage of the pastor from Footloose.
John Lithgow,
John Lithgow giving that speech.
Exactly.
About the evils of dancing. But then he looks to his wife and he says, "Dinner." And everybody eats, and then he lights a cigarette and blows cigarette smoke across his entire family while they try to enjoy their dinner.
Because he's
They're
a
throwing shade.
pimp. That's how a pimp acts.
Throwing shade, son. Like he's literally throwing shade.
He is a pimp.
Oh man.
And then the mom has to support the decision, and she has to act like she agrees with it. But then the worst thing is when she's explaining to the director that she can't take the role, she makes it the kid's fault. She doesn't say, "No, we don't want her acting." It's the kid's fault. She's too shy. She's too timid. Like, what the hell?
Because she couldn't blame her husband.
Yeah, and how hard would it have been to say we think she's too young to be acting?
That would be that would have been much better.
Her studies are slipping. She needs to concentrate on her studies right now.
She got a D in math.
She got a 25 on a test. There's no way that if I got a 25 on a test, there's no way I would get Saturday afternoons to breathe, see daylight.
By the way, that was 25 points, not 25%. So we don't know what it was out of, but yeah.
I wouldn't know I wouldn't have friends. I wouldn't know what a television was. I would like live in a hole eating like vitamin water and nutrient enriched bread until I got a better grade on a math test. I mean,
but when you ask for help with somebody, I'm sorry, what?
You might not have a hand. Like, you come home with that type of grade, your parents might take your non-dominant hand. Well, you're not using it for school. Like,
might as well turn it into a lucky rabbit's foot. But if you ask for help, they would actually explain it to you rather than.
Lord, no.
Oh,
my parents worked at a lumber mill in northern Quebec.
Okay, your dad is an engineer.
My dad's an electrician.
Yeah,
and my mother's last grade of school was 7.
Okay,
so
but your mother is.
When it came to math homework, it was, "Dad, I don't understand this." He's like, "Yeah, good luck with that. I'm gonna go make dinner."
Now, also, to be fair, this was super personal right here for me. When she's like, the mom's like, "You're screwing up. Hey, your sister's smart in math. You go listen to her." Like, when I had trouble in school, my aunts didn't help me. They actually had my cousins come over and tutor me because they were in high school. And so, like, I was like, "Oh man, I know this feeling. I know this being pushed off on somebody else feeling. I know that." Like,
so I have a lot of siblings.
but I have 2/3, and it would be 1/4 of 2/3. So I would divide it into 6th. I mean, if I'm dividing, doesn't this make sense? And then the older sister just gets mad and says, no, just cross divide, just cross multiply. Well, she has a misunderstanding of what division is, but you're too stupid to help out your own sister. So,
because the sister knows the formula and she doesn't actually know why it works. That's the issue. So I had a lot of siblings and I had a lot of homework problems. ADD was not helpful. And thankfully my siblings, they did help me out quite a bit. And it's not till I was watching this that I realized it was like, when I had to do these kinds of problems, who was it that helped me? And I was like, oh, yeah, my brother Vin. Okay. Who's like a human calculator. That makes sense. Why? But I didn't have to ask him. Mom was like, Vin's going to help you with this.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's that instant thing of.
And when I had problems with multiplication, my brother Sport wrote me a computer program to teach me.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's that instant moment where that mom immediately, like, she's like throwing shade. I just can't believe you came home with this grade. I mean, and the little girl's like, my science went up. Like, I did better in science. And she's like,
we were doing blow art and I got dizzy and got a headache.
She was like,
but then the perfect mom answers, like, so you don't have a headache now. So you're feeling better now. So you know all the answers now. Go ahead and correct this homework.
Just throwing shades left and right. This mom is a 7. The mom is the senior chick. She's the one raising the rest of these for the pimp. Like
there's a word for that we're all dancing around because we can't
use that word. Yeah.
It rhymes with no, I'm not going.
No,
it's a pimp named Slickback. You say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest.
I love that our general pimp knowledge comes from the Boondocks,
which is a great source of knowledge for such things.
So yeah, every Asian meme came screaming at me during the whole math scene. I felt, and the way the sister reacted, like, what is wrong with her? Like it was like,
oh, the tattling older sister running down the stairs. Mom, did you see this?
Like, how could she even do that? It's like she spelled her own name wrong or something, you know?
Like, it is. They are some of the worst. Like, and you never see these sisters do anything nice for her. Like, never. Like, they don't even give her a pat on the back for anything. Like,
no, and you never see Dad do anything other than sit at the table, say monosyllabic grunts, and smoke a cigarette.
Smoke and blow smoke in that face. Well, he was gonna take him out for Chinese food, but somebody had to be selfish.
He had to stop and smack a girl.
Look, she questioned his pimp hand. He had to show her that pimp hand was strong.
So
we do not endorse or condone this.
Nutty, can you bring up the ratings?
Yes,
sheet?
Let me bring up the ratings. And before we go into the ratings, I do want to remind people what these ratings mean. We rate them out of 10. But it does not mean, that a 5 is bad. A 5 is
for some reason a scale out of 10 to most people means 7 to 9. No, we're going to use the whole scale, 1 to 10.
So 0 is horrifying, 1 is dreadful, 2 is tedious, 3 is boring, 4 is mediocre, 5 is average, 6 is solid, 7 is exceptional, 8 is dazzling, 9 is penultimate, and 10 is sublime.
So can we change 5 and make it, just call it, I make little girls upset and they cry and run from a room?
Yeah, I think that's the one, right? That is the rating that made that happen, which,
it's one of the greatest moments I've ever.
No, I'm sorry. That was I think that was a 3 that did that.
Is that what he gave Mononoke?
He gave Mononoke a 3.
And that's just what? Below average, I think? Or
hang on. It was one below mediocre. Here we go. Boring.
Yeah, like Mononoke is pretty long. It's
It was pretty boring. And so I want to explain to the audience and to that one little girl who I hope is still listening and probably isn't. But we're going to use the entire scale here. There are more numbers than just 7 to 9. And I can like a lot of things about a movie. Like I love the art in Mononoke. Doesn't mean it's a good movie. So who wants to start off with the ratings for this one?
Why don't you start?
Me? All right. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. And this is going to be 6 Fiat 500s having to pull over on an uphill stretch to let all the other cars go by because it's got 40 horsepower.
Of course you would pick out the car.
And the only thing I noticed was that he got passed by a yellow Datsun 240Z going up that hill. It's like, oh, that must be the drift king of that mountain. I'd love to see the initial D crossover that's about to happen after dark where he tries to race it in his Fiat.
No. It's the shonen version of
Tech, what was that? It was 6 out of 10.
Fiat 500s having to pull over. Well, I'll explain my ranking here because I like to start all my movies at 10 out of 10, and as I notice flaws, I'm gonna tick away points. So yet again loses a massive point or 2 for not having an ending. It just stops, and then they explain it in like an epilogue at the end. I like the epilogue. I thought the idea of having all the kids clambering all over the train and goofing off and being 10 was incredibly heartwarming. I was not a fan of most of the soundtrack. There was a lot of scenes in this movie that were just plain silent, and I get using that for effect, and it's been used before in this franchise of movies to great effect. In this one, it just sort of, there's a lot of moments where I was only hearing the sound of my tinnitus going, why is there no sound now? Something should be happening. And I think my last big detractor is I understand that she wasn't close to her dad, and maybe that's why the dad character is confusing, but I found the dad character to be very, very confusing and a little alienating, and it kind of pulled me out of the movie a couple of times that you're going to smack your child. The one time you do it in your life is because she left the house without shoes on.
By the way, I'm going to say that is probably like a great testament to your own father, because it means that you had such a good father that none of this dad is even relatable at all.
Well, no,
and that's not a criticism. That's awesome. Your dad's great.
That she mentions when she's explaining that story that was the one and only time my dad hit me, and he bruised my face and it stung all night and I cried myself to sleep. Fine. Which is a good reaction to something like that. But that's what set you off. That was your trigger. That was the straw, huh? That's what it was. Whoa. Not those 2 other harpy of the older sisters that she's got constantly bickering at the table.
He's already smacked them once.
Not any of that other crap. But that was the day, huh? That was it.
Well, dude, and also if you look at it, the mom's reaction, because remember, mom's been throwing shade all movie, but when this happens, there is a look of remembrance. There is a look of, he said he wasn't gonna do that again. Like that was like the look on that mom's face.
Well, at least he's not using the cane anymore.
And I agree with you, Tech. I like the way Takahata directed this. I like the way he wrote this. I do like the way he structured this. I do love that blending of reality and fantasy.
It was wonderful. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yes, but I agree with you. I have to match your rating here. I got to give it a 6, and it's kind of for the same reasons. Like the family scenes were so real and so relatable that scene in particular is so jarring. It is. It's 6 little techies trying to not act like he likes someone, because there's 2 scenes of little Tech in this movie. There is the baseball kid, and then there's a little tough kid at the end, who's holding his dad's hand and walking all normal.
Oh, and he spits.
As soon as he sees her, he's like, "Oh, gotta put my hands in my pockets. I'm tough. I'm tough.
And then he gets one upside the head
by his dad. Like, what are you doing?
I love that he's walking down the street, being walked down the street by the hand by his dad, and the whole time he's leaning away from his dad, trying to get as far away from him as he can.
See, gosh, I was just like, yep, that's a little techie. Like, yep, there
So-
he is.
I'm giving this a 7.5. I feel personally attacked by this movie because the main character is way too relatable. And that is somewhere between exceptional and dazzling, because so many of the scenes were just like so real. Like that, I said I wanted a pineapple. I'm going to eat every single bite of this pineapple. And by the way, that pineapple was still bright green. The reason they didn't like it is because they cut it too soon, even though the animation of that scene was amazing.
Man, by the way, I think I look at Jen and I go, why didn't they just let it sit in the window for a while? Like, that would have been an amazing pineapple. Like,
but they don't know anything about pineapple. They don't know that it's not supposed to be bright green.
But watching, and this is the thing. The reputation of Takahata precedes him. This is the first movie of his I've watched. And that whole time when she pulls out that Japanese cleaver, it's like somebody's losing fingers. Like,
I'm telling you, bro, I'm like, someone's gonna slit their wrist with this pineapple. This pineapple's gonna get bled on. Like, you can't eat that.
Jen, what do you rate this?
So my rating is 5 out of 10 safflowers.
Whoa.
And the reason that I rated it 5 was I felt it was a little slow. A lot of it was relatable, like the whole sister thing, been there, done that. The whole mom thing, been there, done that. But like, you could tell from the very beginning of the movie, she was going to end up in the country because that's all she talked about.
Yeah.
She was jealous of the other girls who went to the country on vacation. I thought it was cool that she was going to the country on vacation and working.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The safflower scene where they picked it and they processed it and they made the pallets of it, I thought was amazing.
You're celebrating the deaths of those animators, by the way.
I am. Okay, I am basking in their blood.
Yes, which is the color of that rouge.
Right.
And I loved how so much of it came into how, well, this was the crop of the area. Not many people are still farming it anymore. What must those women have felt as they picked and made these rouges that they couldn't afford to wear? What must they have thought of city girls like me who would be the consumers of this? I thought that was really deep. I really enjoyed that.
No, one key moment in that scene, I think, was probably some of the best animation, is when they have the leaves of the flowers in the basket, and they're pouring the water over it, and they're shifting it to filter this water off of them and to clean them. And I'm like, bye, Animator 1, bye, Animator 2, bye, Animator 3. Like, these Takahata and Miyazaki are the grim reapers of art. Like, my gosh.
There's a scene in this when he killed his Foley artists.
Oh,
He killed his sound designer in that car. So the scene where he picks her up in the rainstorm on the bridge, and we thought she was going to get run over. So you can hear the rumble of the engine, and you can hear the wipers streaking across the window. And then as the camera goes from outside the car to inside the car and he shuts the door, the sound changes. The camera then pans from looking at it from the passenger side of the car to looking at it from the front of the car. So you see the two of them in front of you, and the sound panned around the room, where all of a sudden the wipers were behind me where the windshield is. And then it cuts back to a side shot of him, and the wipers are off to my left. So they stereo those sounds around the room as the sound source moves, as they cut from one camera to another for a 1 minute scene in a 2-hour movie that's not about cars.
Yeah,
And-
by the way, we got the Blu-ray version, so we got the full.
Yeah, they
surround
murdered
sound.
their
It was
audio.
awesome.
You know what? It's like what this was probably at a production meeting. some sound design, some smart mouth sound designers say, well, you know what? I'm glad I went into sound design and not animation. Because you notice at the start of this movie, there were 64 people in the animation studio. Now there's just 3 guys in carpal tunnel braces and a whole lot of tombstones. Glad that never happens to the audio department. And Takahata's like, oh, you think so, huh? Well, you remember those safflowers I made them all draw? You're going to go nuts doing wiper sounds for the next week. Here we go.
And here's a funny thing,
and the cutting of a pineapple.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And here's a funny little tidbit, right? In Spirited Away, there's a scene where that Audi that you liked so much in that movie was driving over cobblestones.
Mm-hmm.
They, in the special features, they show you how they did that. They literally got an Audi and drove it over cobblestones. So some poor sound guys like on the side of the road, like, please.
Yeah. Hey, get out the car. Just, yeah.
I couldn't get you an A4. This is an A5. No, he'll know the difference. He'll never see it, but he'll know. Go find me an A4. I don't care what it costs.
Dude, it's those are the details that I think most American filmmakers could pick up on and learn from. I'm looking at you, Michael Bay, Mr. I Film Explosion.
You know what? We don't. He's not going to listen to us. So I'm just curious,
Yeah.
Jen, did you have more that you wanted to say about your rating? Because we cut you off.
No.
Okay. Just, it was average.
Yeah.
I will agree with you. I think that it was a little slow. And it's really funny. It's like, well, how long was Princess Mononoke? Was that actually 3 hours?
Darn near.
Okay.
Like 240 something.
I think the pacing was probably similar, and yet I felt more engaged with this movie. Although I will say my ADD was wanting to wander because of the pacing.
I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm used to slow pacing. I'm okay.
Wow.
Like I'm okay. I just want to ask, so a 5 out of 10 for a slow paced movie is a bit harsh, and this is me saying this. So I have to ask you, Jen, was this just too relatable? Was that what the problem was here?
I had a pretty average life. Wasn't very exciting.
Did you just throw shade on the movie and your own rating?
I'm just saying. No, like, although the animation and stuff was great, the story itself was just not enough to enrapture me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, like, I had a hard time actually concentrating on the movie, at least the first half. The second half, I was a little bit more, the second half, I was a little more into it, I guess because I was looking for the conflict going on, like,
yeah, where's the conflict? There's not that natural story arc, right?
Yeah.
It was with Grandma. Grandma trying to tell her who to marry.
Well, that wasn't until like almost the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to figure that out the whole time.
There was no real climax. There was real, no swell. The what you expect from storytelling was not there, and I will agree with you on that.
What's next?
Oh, okay. So first off, let's. By the way, hi Spence. Spence has joined us in the chat.
Hi, Spence.
You can hear the rest of this, Spence, by listening to the full MP3 feed that'll come in the MP3 feed. But we're reviewing only yesterday, and we gave it a cumulative score of 6.1 out of 10. But next we have, apparently this is Jen's favorite, Pom Poko.
That's not Jen's favorite.
Is this the raccoons?
Yes.
Oh no.
By the way, it's another Takahata. Let's do this. Let's go all Takahata.
Wait, isn't My Neighbor the Yamada's Takahata as well?
Yeah.
Good, because that's the next one after this.
Look.
I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. I'm so glad you guys have a camera now, because I got to see Jen's face for that.
Bruh. Okay. Like, you guys, like, luckily, like, I don't know if it's lucky or not, but sadly, you won't be able to see Jin's initial reaction to that movie. Oh, man. Like, I thought she was going to throw things at me.
You don't understand how many roadkill raccoons there are down here.
And by the way, he kills animators throughout that movie.
If I don't play Run With Us at some point during the next episode, all I know is that this movie has to do with raccoons, and Jen is traumatized because of roadkill.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if we're gonna go Takahata, we might as well just do it all, because he only has a few movies. Because I say this all the time, but it's true. They only let him out of his cage every few years. Like Grave of the Fireflies is in '88. This movie was in '91. The next one he did was in '94. Matter of fact, I had it pulled up.
As frequently as the Animators Union will let him do movies, you know?
Yeah, like, let's see. Like, here we go. His filmography, right? 88 was Grave of the Fireflies, which is what put him on the map. 91 was Only Yesterday. 94 is Pompoko. 99 is My Neighbors the Yamadas. And then 2003 is Winter Days, which is a short that he did. And then in 2010, he did Anna.
Wait, so Pompoko's Takahata? I have it marked as Miyazaki.
Nope, it's Takahata.
Okay.
And then he did an Anne of Green Gables, Road to Green Gables in 2010. And then his last film was Tale of Princess Kaguya, which he was robbed of an Oscar for.
All right. So, we've broken up the viewing order. Originally, we were going to do it by release date, and then we changed it when we realized we had a bunch of sad stuff all together. So it's Only Yesterday, Pompoko, and then My Neighbor the Yamadas, which just from the brief glimpse that we saw, is going to be like a pick-me-up, hopefully.
Oh, dude.
It's like watching cartoons after watching Freddy Krueger.
Dude, it is. I'll put it this way. My Neighbors the Yamadas is honestly it doesn't have a story. It's kind of just like an experience.
Don't tell us anything.
I love the fact that in the 2 or 3 minutes that we watched while we were until the title card, that one of the main voices is
the first voice we hear.
The first voice I hear is my favorite voice actor. It's Tress MacNeille, and she's doing her Hattie McDougal, the crazy cat lady from Futurama voice. Made me very, very happy.
I'm like, hello, Tress. That was awesome. But yeah, so next time we're gonna watch Pompoko, and we hope that you join us. And if not, you listen to these and get an idea of, hey, maybe that's a good movie I should watch.
How long do I have to prepare?
You've already seen it. You're good.
I know, but I have to watch it again.
Well, would you prefer to not have to watch it until like right before we do it?
That's
like this time?
Normally what I do anyway.
Well, we could watch that and then watch Grave of the Fireflies.
What? What is wrong with you?
He wants to get through
we had to do live.
No, we're not doing that live.
No.
You had to watch it with them.
Yes, we have to be together.
There needs to be snuggle time in order for Nutty to watch that movie.
Man,
I need somebody to cry on.
I can't believe I've seen that thing like 3 times. Jesus,
you're
That's self-torture.
Yeah, that's self-abuse. So thank you so much. Let us know, what did you think of Only Yesterday? Have you seen this one? I feel like this one's a little less popular, although Tech, there is one more piece of trivia that you discovered.
Oh.
This movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Absolutely.
I didn't think that was possible.
Why?
7.1 on IMDb, but 100%.
Yeah, a 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating with an average rating of 8.4.
Mm.
So,
well, dude, if you look at what is the other one he did?
Critics Are Odd Creatures.
What is the one he did? If I'm not mistaken, Kaguya got a really high one too.
Well, we'll get there when we get there. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And Jen, Jason, where can they normally find you?
They can find us on our website at talknerdytomepodcast.com. They can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdytome. And they can find us on Twitter at nerdytomepodcast.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, wait. Yeah, bye.
Where can they find you? Where can they find you guys?
Oh, they get that in the outro.
Oh,
I was going to do the whole Patreon thing, but then I realized I don't do that during Ghibli Cast normally. And I did that in the last episode. I only got to do it once. So we do have some chat here from Spence, and Spence did say, I love Foley art. And then Spence wants to know, are you guys going to watch Poco when she's there?
No.
I will gladly let you watch it. I think Pompoko should be experienced by everyone. Same thing with Grave of the Fireflies.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay,
I'm
you
good.
also love to watch things like Man Bites Dog and Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop is
wait,
awesome.
wait, what was it? Killer Pinata?
Wolf Cop is awesome.
You know what? Killer Pinata was just
The first half of that was pretty great. But now, what was that? What was it? Man Bites Dog was Paul Mackey's suggestion.
And you ran with it.
I did, and
You were so excited.
because
I'm finding I don't have a choice in a lot of this stuff these days.
Hey,
What was that?
Jason
Welcome
just
to
kind of makes
podcasting.
decisions.
Hey, you picked Killer Pinata.
I did, and you watched it.
Puke.
And you guys
Jason,
loved
what was
it.
Jason, what was the name of that Swedish-made action movie came out a little while ago? It's like all like super 80s. The guy's like a martial arts cop, got bitten by like a radioactive cobra or something, and he fights like Mecha Hitler, and his partner is the Triceracop.
The one that looks like it and it's got tracking lines.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what was that? That
Oh,
was
God,
like
what was
a
it
big
called?
flash in the pan.
They're making a sequel.
Oh,
Oh
Lord.
man, I know what you're talking about, and I cannot think of it to save my life.
Apparently, they're making a sequel of what is it? Iron Sky.
Iron Skies.
Yeah. By the way, I have that on Blu-ray. That movie's amazing. Also, Tale of Princess Kaguya has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes as well.
It's insane.
Holds up his BlackBerry. Was ist this? Oh, that's my that's a phone. It's a computer. Das ist not ein computer. Points to the whole back of the room.
That is a computer.
Have you guys seen FDR American Badass?
No.
No,
Dude, it is stupid, but like
because we're not you.
a werewolf gave him polio, okay?
Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. Please tell me you've seen that one.
Yes, I have. Oh man.
Wow.
Let's see what other Takahata movies. I'm looking at seeing what all his movies got rated on.
I don't know, but we do still need to do another commentary. And this time it needs to be and I need to put the Nosferatu one on our feed. It needs to be Silence of the Vampire. Is that what? Shadow of the Vampire.
Kung Fury. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Kung
Kung
Fury.
Fury.
And Pompoko has an 82%. I think it was just a little too real for people.
Yes. But yeah, Jen, will you join us in a commentary on Shadow of the Vampire? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, so Nosferatu, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a movie about the making Nosferatu, except the actor playing the vampire is an actual vampire.
Stop eating your co-stars.
Don't eat the caterer.
I would totally do a commentary on that. Just kind of depends on work schedule.
Does
The
he carry his casket?
Nosferatu vampire is played by Willem Dafoe.
So
And-
Willem Dafoe, the vampire. Gotcha.
Yeah, and the director is John Malkovich.
Yeah.
But we also need to watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
Every time I think of John Malkovich, I think of being John Malkovich.
Yeah, everyone does. He used to just blend and disappear, and now everyone.
I never watched
anything.
anything he was in. I did not, because he was a huge stage guy before he got into movies. I don't know any of his work until Con Air. So every time I see him in anything, I just see Cyrus the Virus, the serial killer.
Like when he was the Duffon in Joan of Arc
Ugh.
or The Messenger.
Hey, all I can think about in Con Air is Nicolas Cage's southern accent from Louisiana.
Steve Buscemi being super creepy, like more than normal.
There was this one girl I drove through 3 states wearing her head as a hat.
By the way, cool trivia about that movie. Originally, they were going to have him kill that little girl, and it did not test well, so they had to show her at the end alive.
That was a good move. That was a very good move.
And Grave of the Fireflies has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Spence says The Messenger traumatized her.
Wait, is that the one Messenger?
Mila Jovovich
Mila
plays
Jovovich
Joan
is
of Arc.
Oh man, are we done with her? Like, are we? Have
Yes,
we moved on?
have
from
you
her?
noticed that she's not cast in anything?
Oh, she is, and they just showed production stills.
Oh.
They bought the rights to the Nintendo video game Monster Hunter, and they're making a Monster Hunter movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Monster Hunter is a fantasy world where they run around with spears and bows and they hunt dragons
and T-Rexes
and T-Rexes and things. So the opening shot, the one shot, it was a Happy Halloween photo that they posted. It's Mila Jovovich and two of her co-stars in desert tan operator gear with like AR magazines on their chests and plate carriers and Oakley gloves and fancy boots and camouflage pants, all leaning on the hood of an up-armored Humvee.
So, like all of the Resident Evil movies, I'll just not watch them.
So what you're saying is what it should have been was Lilu Dallas Multipass having her clothes burned off by a T-Rex with a spine on its back and her holding a sword.
The only part, you can watch one scene from the first Resident Evil and you'll see everything that you need to see. Just watch the laser grid turn a guy into Jello cubes.
Which they stole from Cube.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So Spence also says, and Malkovich in Red. I never saw Red. I don't even know what that is.
It's about geriatric CIA agents doing cool things.
Of course it is.
It's got Bruce Willis in it, John Malkovich, Morgan Freeman, and oh gosh, it's the lady.
Wow. If Jason wasn't talking, that would have been great Foley, Jen. Did you guys hear that?
Mm-mm.
She just popped her neck so good. That was awesome.
No,
my shoulder's out.
It is.
Oh, it's your shoulder?
Her popping her neck.
It's me popping my neck. It's the only way I can get my shoulder to like pop itself back in.
I would pin you. And I know that sounds dirty, but I have found that when my shoulder's bugging me, I just get somebody to put a really good pin on me, and suddenly my shoulder feels better.
Helen Mirren. How could I have forgotten Helen Mirren? Bruce Willis.
Dame Helen Mirren. Thank you.
D&D playing Dame Helen Mirren, you mean?
Well, dude, that's the thing. It's Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, and
Malkovich.
And Malkovich.
I don't know what movie it was, but apparently Helen Mirren and Vin Diesel were in a movie together once, and he got her playing D&D, and she now is part of his regular D&D crew.
Love it.
I don't like Vin Diesel as an actor, but I love that he's a geek. The only role I actually like him in is Groot.
I think, what about Iron Giant? Don't forget that.
Oh, that was him? All right. I liked Iron Giant too.
That was one of his first roles, actually.
So so one of the things I didn't mention, which I like crossovers.
So we were supposed to talk about that.
Right. So the first crossover that I had in mind was that, when you see the cars on the side of the mountain, that I wanted to see an Initial D crossover.
Wait. I'm gonna record this. Let me turn back on the microphone.
Okay. Am I good?
No. I have to turn the microphone on.
I love how your tech was frozen,
Tech pause. And restart.
Tech, the robo husband.
Can I go now?
No, it's still got that little spinny thing.
Worst microphone ever.
Really? Okay, then buy me a new one.
Uh-oh.
All right, so you wanted to talk about crossovers?
Crossover. I like crossovers. So the thing I noticed is that this movie was made for Nippon TV and was distributed of all the studios and the production houses. This was made by Ghibli and distributed by Toho.
Yes.
The company, that Toho, the company made famous for 50 Godzilla movies. Can I see that crossover where she goes back to Tokyo and has memories of her being a 10-year-old watching giant 200-foot lizards rampaging through downtown? Maybe that's why Dad is so quiet. Maybe Dad works at that Tokyo power plant and he's the reason why Gojira is out rampaging through the countryside killing Rodan.
Oh man, or better yet, Totoro has to go big to stop him.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'd watch that.
Oh, Totoro v Gojira? Yes, please.
That's why that's what
You know what? Totoro would just lull him into love and he would become a cuddly monster like Rory.
Hey, they have defeated Godzilla by putting him to sleep before.
So if
Godzilla's a Snorlax?
So if Disney now owns Ghibli, and if all of the Disney movies in Final Fantasy are melding together in Kingdom Hearts, can I get Ghibli worlds in Kingdom Hearts? Can they go to Totoro and can they meet
in Kingdom Hearts 3? You're getting close to that, but it's the Big Hero 6 world.
Yeah,
Big Hero 6 will do. I'll take that.
So any other crossovers?
Well, like I was talking about earlier today, I'd like to see a big robot fighting game like something like Capcom versus Street Fighter. But I want to see all of the big giant robots and big giant monsters of Japan all crossed over together. I want to see Totoro fight Voltron.
That would be cool. I do think that this whole area, I'm sure I'm completely wrong. That this farm area is the farm area that My Neighbor Totoro takes place in. Granny's farm is just down the road.
See, we need to go back and watch Totoro and see if we see any of those flowers.
Yes.
Super Dimensional Fortress Macross will fight in a single elimination match against the space battleship Yamato, and the winner of that round will fight against the winner of Howl's Moving Castle versus the space pirate ship Arcadia.
Yes, please. I'm in.
But I don't know, man. I don't know how fair that is because one, Harlock is constantly drunk and he's better drunk, but Howl has a fire demon. Like,
okay, wait. But
fire don't burn in space, man.
No, we can totally get some really great scenes between Howl and
Captain Harlock?
Captain Harlock. Yes, please. And if not, somebody write that slash for me, please.
Oh, please. No. Or better yet,
nuketoss@gmail.com. Send me that slash, please.
Oh, man. Howl starts picking up on Esmeralda and Harlock gets upset with him.
Okay, and then he has to show him that no, you should have been hitting on me. Yes, that's what I want to read.
So Takeo's dad from Only Yesterday that we just watched today, Shinji's dad from Neon Genesis Evangelion, Captain Harlock, Captain Gloval from the Macross, and Howl all sitting at a table staring at gentlemen. Only one of us is allowed to be brooding. We will all stare at each other until there is only one of us left.
That would be one of the most pensive rooms ever.
And then Harlock wins.
I feel like on the outside, though, it would be like all of the women from that show going, men.
Oh, especially what's her name from Howl's Moving Castle. She just turned into an old granny and be like, whatever. Let me go take care of things. So Spence has a suggestion. She says, you all do commentary on movie adaptations of video games like Rampage, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Lara Croft, Battleship. It would be glorious and terrible.
Oh,
yeah.
Call it Why Just Why.
Yeah,
Why Just Why.
The only two of those movies would be worth it, and that's Mortal Kombat and Rampage. Because anything with The Rock in it, I am down. Was it?
Mortal Kombat wasn't bad. Let's watch Street Fighter with Raul Julia as M. Bison.
Okay, first off, his last movie that he did because his kids loved Street Fighter, and he's the best actor in it, and he's dying with stomach cancer. He was literally dying, and he's acting circles around everyone. Because remember, y'all, that was the most important day of their life. But for him, it was a Tuesday. The most savage line you can tell someone. I think like, I killed your father, and you killed my father. And he goes, oh, I remember that. For you, it was the most horrific day of your life. For me, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah. I think that doing those movies would be some sort of a punishment, and I'm not sure I've done anything to deserve that yet. I don't know what did I do to deserve that. And if we did all of them like in a marathon, I think Jen would just quit podcasting.
Bruh,
nobody wants that.
What was that movie you just gave up on me on? What was that? You're just like, I'm done. Like,
Man bites dog.
no, it wasn't. No.
Oh,
No, there was one movie you guys stopped watching and you supplanted it with another movie.
Chain of Souls is terrible.
Chain of Souls.
But no, there was a previous, I think it was 2 years ago when we picked the wrong pelts and we had that string of indie horror movies.
I wasn't done with that one.
Dude,
I watched it all the way through.
Yeah, but that was brutal. That was tough.
Yeah, I still watched it all the way through.
That was
didn't I?
rough. And we've had some.
Jen is tougher than you think. But if Jen says, no, we're not watching this, you're not watching that.
Somebody
Just listen.
optioned. Does anybody here remember the old 80s arcade game Joust?
Yes.
With the
Yeah.
it's two knights on with lances on ostrich back flying around
Yes.
on little platforms.
And every
Yeah.
listener of Sci-Fi Dig knows
They optioned this as a movie. Someone owns the rights.
they've
to
continued
Joust.
to option it. It's been renewed a couple of times.
The Rock will do
That's
it, and it'll be
awesome.
amazing.
This is true.
The Rock on an ostrich, I'd watch that.
Ostrich jousting in space
With The Rock.
with the Rock.
Uh-huh.
I'd watch
I'd
Sure,
that.
watch-
what the hell? Why not?
Dude, by the
It's
way,
The Rock, and there's a chance that he gets at least half naked in it.
Oh, okay.
There you
So The
go.
Rock is on one ostrich and Jason Momoa is on the other ostrich. And then the
Idris Elba's the
tiebreaker.
guest referee.
There you go. And they're all shirtless. Why did this become a Slash podcast?
That just became rated R.
Dude, by the way, can I just say like how they did that movie with The Rock and Sam Jackson as cameos, and it was The Nice Guys, or the other guys? It was a cop comedy.
No idea.
I want a buddy cop movie starring Jason Momoa and The Rock. Like, we need that. Like, and I
That
want
would
their angry lieutenant or sergeant, the one who's like, "Give me your badge and gun." It needs to be Idris Elba. Like, it needs. Matter of fact, it needs to be him as Luther.
So Spence says, hell yes. She's in with Joust for that cast.
Like, I'd watch it. Like, or better yet, you know what? Remake. Oh, what was that really bad sci-fi movie from the 80s? Buck Rogers?
Which one?
Okay, Buck Rogers isn't from the 80s.
No.
Flash
God, what
Gordon?
was it? Thank you. I watched that with The Rock in it.
Yeah, and maybe we can get rid of those
you're-
horrible stereotypes.
Your Jason Momoa Rock buddy cop. The villain needs to be Michael B. Jordan though.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
it could be a panel of villains. It could be Michael B. Jordan. It could be Mike Coulter and Michael Jai White.
All the Michaels that you
All
have
the
crushes on.
Michaels. All the Michaels.
And Michael Jai White. Absolutely.
So Spence says Idris Elba has played the captain character in Zootopia.
Yes, that's right. He was in Zootopia.
I love
Oh,
Zootopia.
man. By the way, speaking of, since we waved at Shane earlier, Shane sent me a picture of Idris Elba's first television role where he plays a spaceman and he's in a space helmet.
Why have you not shared that with us?
Oh, man.
Why are you holding out, man?
Shane, that's
Why are
in
you
his
holding?
personal collection.
It is in my personal collection. I completely forgot, and it just came to my head. I was like, "Oh yeah, he sent me that awesome picture of Idris Elba in a space helmet."
So,
Like,
Idris Elba,
Check.
this year's sexiest man alive,
Sexiest
which
man
means,
alive. They got it right finally.
which means Bond has got to be around the corner.
Like, I'm sorry, if he's not Bond, then after we get 3 seasons of a female Doctor, we need Idris Elba as the Doctor. I know they go for little known actors, but if he doesn't get Bond, he needs something. And I
They
feel
can't afford him.
Oh, I bet he would
Money,
do
you
it.
couldn't afford it.
No, I bet he would do it at a huge discount. I think Idris Elba secretly is a huge Doctor Who fan. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not sure anyone's secretly a Doctor Who fan. I think most
He's
Who-
overtly.
How about they just bring me back some David Tennant?
or some Purple Man. That'd be nice.
By the way, that's one of the things I hate about Jessica Jones season 1, because I'm like, I know he's an evil person, but I'm pretty sure most women, if David Tennant asked them something, would be like, "Yes, sir." Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that's
I would.
kind of part of the whole thing. That's kind of part of the whole
Well, they wanted
thing.
somebody-
It-
well, they wanted somebody that charming.
yeah,
Huh?
you believe that he's just telling you to do these things.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
but-
why go back to David Tennant? I mean, Tom Baker's still alive. Let's get him to come back. I want me some Dr. 4. I want Crazy Scarf Doctor.
or Sylvester McCoy. He's awesome too.
Mhm.
Hey, Peter Davis. I bet that he's David Tennant's father-in-law.
I bet that.
It's true. I'm going to hit stop on the
Oh,
recording.
yeah, revolted. I'm not going to work tonight.
Did you? They were trying to put you on the thing?
Yep.
So you said no?
Yep.
Yeah!
Okay, let the record here that Jen has said no to
work.
going into work on her day off.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
It has happened. It may happen again.
Hopefully.
Setting
We're
a
so
precedent.
We're so proud.
So proud. of her.
I'm absolutely proud. Like, because when she told me she had to work a half shift, I was like, but I thought you were supposed to be off. How
How many days did she work on her week's
He sounds
vacation?
sad now, but he wasn't sad when I said I was going to work.
No, I'm not sad. No, I'm not sad now that you said no. I'm so happy. What I'm saying is I was sad when you were like, hey, I got to work a half shift. Like, I thought you were supposed to, I kept saying, I thought you were supposed to be off. And you're like,
Jen, no, we're still on air.
she does. It's fine.
Okay. Just like she is. I'm hiding behind you.
No, she's hiding. Anyway, this was awesome. Thank you, Spence, for joining us. Thank you, Shane, for joining us earlier. And we're gonna go, but more Ghibli cast coming. Thanks, guys.
Indeed.
And I'm gonna hit stop.
So how many, what